Hi, this is Paul from Model Builder International. What we're going to have a look at this time is a new release by Flyhawk. It's a 1/700th scale HMS Campbeltown from 1942, which is the year of the St. Nazaire raid when it was used. This is kit number FH1105. Nice picture on the front of it with the bow of the ship stuck in the dry dock doors. So let's look what we've got elsewhere on the side. These QR codes, I think one goes to the website, a couple go to sites where you can purchase the kit. I think they're in Chinese. On the back we've got basically a brief story of the ship in English and Japanese and Chinese, I think. So, HMS Campbeltown started off as an American destroyer, DD-131, USS Buchanan, and it was handed over to the UK in the basis for destroyers deal, and then it was had some changes made to it, and was used in a raid, commando raid in 1942 to destroy the dry dock at St. Nazaire, so the Tirpitz couldn't go there, couldn't use that dry docks to try and keep it out of the Atlantic, which kind of worked since the Tirpitz never made it into the Atlantic Ocean. The ship was modified originally. The heavy armament was removed and replaced with smaller quick-firing guns, and you can see that here. There's no main destroyer armament has gone and been replaced with quick-firing guns, and the torpedoes were removed as well. So let's open the box and see what we get inside. It feels pretty big, pretty full, sorry. So here we go. What have we got? We've got some instructions, a sheet of photo etch, and 5 bags. So let's start off and have a look at. Let's have a look at the hull to start with. Let's grab a scalpel. So, there's the hull. You can either do this. Looks like it's a full hull kit, but it looks like you can do it. You could do it as waterline if you wanted to. I'll just run this across the top. You can see there's portholes on this, and there's some nice some plate detail on the side of the ship as well. The hull has strakes on the bottom, so that looks good. Let's have a look at this bigger sprue. This part here is the main deck. Some pretty fine thing at the back. I'll run this across the top of the screen as well. Some pretty small parts on here. Nicely detailed, very small attachment points. That should look very nice. What else do we have? Just look in here. More small parts, life rafts, some small parts in the middle here. I can't quite see what they are from here. Propeller shafts. Now this sprue is labelled Wicks class, which is what basically HMS Campbeltown was when it was USS Buchanan. Buchanan was part of the Wicks class. So that and the first sprue we looked at was labelled Campbeltown. So this is obviously things that didn't change. Let's open these up and have a look in some of these parts. These are little resealable bags. Little stackable sprues. They stack quite nicely together. You've got little keys in them so you can stack those. And that's handy for protecting those, what are pretty small parts attached to those. I'll stick pictures of that at the top there again. Those are pretty small parts in there. Those are nice. Looks like guns. Let's have a look at this bag. Just one sprue of another sprue of life rafts. And this bag contains an assortment of small parts. Basically some part pieces for the deck. There's a funnel, it's hollow top and bottom. Some nice moulding there to make these completely hollow. That is nice. More small parts here. So far, the level of the mouldings is really good. There's a lot of very small parts, very fine parts, very fine attachment points. Can't see any ejector pin marks anywhere. So those are very nice. And here we have, let's have a look, see there's a card in here keeping everything flat, so I'll take everything out. And we have, I think that's just the usual warning sheet not to eat your photo etch. I'll put this at the top as well so you can see a bit closer, but there's a nameplate. Yeah, this is the main big piece there is like a stand to mount it on. There's ship's railings and some other small parts there. And in here we have, I'm thinking we have decals in this little bag. So I'll open that up again. And then, yeah, some more decals, Royal Navy flag, the Kriegsmarine flag. I remember for the initial part of the raid, HMS Campbeltown was flying the Kriegsmarine flag, and the Royal Navy flag was was hoisted as the attack went in. So you've got both flags there. So you put it at sea, flying the flag of the Kriegsmarine, or you could put it with its bow wedged in a dry dock door and put the Royal Navy flag on, and be accurate. So that's good. So overall, very nice kit, highly detailed. Let's have a look at quick look at the instructions, but I'll go through more detail. This seems to be bigger than previous Flyhawk instructions. So they've made them a bit bigger. The diagrams a little bigger. It was one thing of theirs I found I had to put magnifiers on to read the instructions. Never mind build the kit. So these were an improvement over previous ones. And a painting guide, colours, Mr. Hobby, Tamiya, and WEM. So, well, the instructions look very good. We'll have a close look at those and some close-ups of pieces, but I'm quite impressed. Okay, so now we'll go through the instructions in a little more detail, and I'll pull up some images of the parts as we go along. So the first steps, you can see there's a layout of the various sprues. I think the part numbers are there if you look close enough. There's no parts that appear to be unused. Moving down, the usual safety instructions. Then an explanation of what the icons mean. A little phrase there that says PE is awesome, if a little time consuming. And then we finally get on to step one, which is the simplest step in the whole build, putting the deck onto the upper hull. And as you can see, I'll just float this image across the top here. You can see there's some nice detail on both the side of the hull and on the deck itself. Step two is basically putting more detail on the forward half of the hull, from the forecastle back to the bridge and the centre area of the ship, where they added a bunch of 20mm cannons. So one good thing, they've updated the armament of the ship to reflect what it actually carried on the night of the raid, rather than a standard Wicks class destroyer. As you can see, there's some nice parts going here and some small photo etch parts as well. On the third step, we're moving aft on the ship, adding some photo etch railings, some other photo etch details as well. We add the two funnels. The aft funnel was converted for this raid. It was given a rake to the top, and add some more details again. Adding some nice details onto the ship. Next we have step 4, and we're dealing with the aft end of the ship. You can see there's more railings going on, more of the conversion work that was carried out to add more quick-firing 20mm guns to the ship. And again, some nice levels of detail back here, and what's going to go together to make a very nice little model. And now on to the last step of the build, step 5, which is pretty straightforward. We're just putting the lower hull onto the completed upper hull. Add the propeller shafts, propellers are nicely protected on the sprues. Put it on a photo etch stand if you wish, and that's the build complete. And now what I'll show is the painting guide. So you can see there's 6 colours used, called out in Mr. Hobby and Tamiya and WEM, although I think WEM are not making paint anymore as far as I'm aware, unless somebody else has taken it over. And it's a reasonably straightforward painting scheme as well. So, an overall conclusion. It's a nicely detailed kit, not too complex. There's only around about 100 parts in total, including the photo etch. You get a very nice model of HMS Campbeltown. The research has been done. The kit represents it correctly for the raid on Saint Nazaire. So without too much trouble, you should end up with a very nice kit. As usual, Flyhawk's kits are nicely detailed, so it should be a good one. Also, Flyhawk have released another version of this with more photo etch, metal parts, and some rigging. So will there be a review of that one coming soon? So thanks very much for Flyhawk for sending the kit along for review.